Hello everybody and welcome back to EPIC38. We are here for Valorant Beacon yet again. It's the first event in the Beacon split so far this time around, and it's delivered on many different fronts. We're starting to poke the feelers out just a little bit, keep our ears to the ground, make our way around the LAN hall and find out as much as we can to enrich this broadcast, of course. And we found a little nugget. We're not going to be showing the Pablo's Kittens versus Looney game anymore. We've got a gigabanger for you, Cairo, if you would do the
We certainly do, Hazza. We have potentially one of the best games you could have. It's Control versus next in line, and this game potentially could decide a matter of second and third. Pretty big game.
Yeah, it has quite big ramifications, and I think it's really nice for us as well, just coming off the back of that last next in line game, to now see where their heads are at coming into this one, because the Control Esports team have also been shaken up a fair bit. I think it's fair to say that result against Swans, not ideal. Just went into a series against Looney, which is one of the reasons I think why we had that delay, sort of their schedule's been offset a little bit, but we're here with it now, and I think, both teams, they've had their setbacks. This is an opportunity for one of them to become that outlier and push towards the top end of the group, because I think even if next in line lose this game, they're still looking probably a little bit healthier than Control are, just because of that Swans result. Yeah,
I really think it is, Hazza. And on top of that, right now, next in line, Control are really kind of scrapping to make themselves back into a top three, because for most of this tournament, for most of today, we've been talking about the top three. Control, Insight and next in line. We're now starting to see the disparages between the three rosters. The fact that Control managed to had a sloppy result against Swans. The fact that next in line did get beat by Insight. These next two games, the one that we're seeing here and the one after, are going to be massive.
I mean, there are still teams in the other group which we didn't get a look at earlier. We've mainly been focusing on this group, such as Clique, who are really high rated in the tournament, but I think we'll probably see that in our best of three later on, depending on which one we end up picking. I'm expecting it to be that second, third place game rather than a first versus fourth, higher seed versus lower seed. But we'll have to see how that pans out, of course. I think the reason why I said that Control perhaps aren't in as good of a situation as next in line is because the next match that they have to play after this one is against Insight, and they are yet to drop a game and have very much solidified themselves as the favourites, at least in this group. They came in as #1 seed. We'll have to see if that translates once they come into contact with those who have been playing parallel to them. But that statement has already been made.
I think it truly has, and it's not them. It's not the fact that they have won games, it's the manner in which they have won them. We have not seen them lose more than 6 rounds on stream, Hazza.
That we have not. Now we head into the map bans, getting a quick idea as to where this best of one will be headed. Ascent, Pearl, Split, Lotus, Haven and Fracture all banned out, leaving us to Icebox. It was the first map that we saw today, and it is the last map that we're going to be casting in the best of one format before we have Rook and Summer hop on for one final hurrah in groups before the playoffs become activated. But looking at this map choice with next in line starting on the attack, we saw them play it earlier in the map that they had against Looney. I believe that one was as well. How are you feeling about the way that they're going to approach this?
Well, Icebox has been, for the first time in a while, we've seen some developments on the map through lock-in. I don't know if that's going to translate into Beacon. It's pretty much stagnant from at this level, I would say, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just think that these teams are fairly new. They've not had time to develop new coaches. Some teams without coaches still to get that situation. So I think we'll pretty much see the same comp. It's all about how these IGLs read and make their place.
I think something to note there as well is that the roles change around just a little bit when you speak about coaches, repetitions, how it is exactly these guys set up. We had Rudy on that Astra role on Fracture, will now be moving on towards the Killjoy, we expect. So Jaco will be playing something different, which isn't what we saw on the previous game. So that does also change the pace just a little bit of how things play out, I suppose. Then looking towards the control side, we just had to wait for a moment before we should now be heading into game, because I believe Daki was in the range. That's another fun one, right? You have that control core. We had Druid leave that roster in the sort of downtime between Beacon splits. It was actually a tournament hosted by Control in favor of Charity, which saw this first version of the roster come through, and then before they went under the Control banner. And then Daki came back in, and the reason why I want to mention him is because he hadn't even said that he was going to be playing. No. He was simply subbing in at that point in time. He had announced on Twitter after leaving Into the Breach and everything that they'd been doing in the DAC region with Azzy as well, who we saw playing on Jokers earlier, that he would be stepping away from play. So we're now going to be heading into the game as that has, of course, been resolved. But yeah, this is just this is a really interesting game. We'll have to see how it plays out, and half of that does come down to what the comps look like.
Well, this is going to be an insight into the playoffs and how that could look like, and how these teams are going to play. Because realistically, I don't think we've seen Control on stream yet.
No, we haven't. This is our first outing for Control on stream, and it won't be the last. We'll be seeing them at least one more time in the next best of one we have lined up against Insight. I was hoping that you weren't going to make the pun, at least at one point, but sometimes these things just write themselves. You've got to get it out your system. It's a rite of passage.
It's inevitable. But one thing I want to pick up on, both teams do have a coach, Hazza, which me and you can see, the streaming can't. But do you want to know what, there's a little bit of, I don't know what you call it, a little bit pedigree on the Control roster in terms of the coach. Their coach actually is former V1.
Former V1.
So, assistant coach for V1. Nice. So, and Marky was telling me on the way down to EPIC39, he was saying, look, Cairo, we feel as if we've been really developing as a roster. We've been starting to get a little bit of a bit about us. We're starting to understand the game more and get like just a little bit better in terms of how they're playing. And I think we've been really seeing that throughout. Yes, they've had one sloppy result, but at the same time, I feel as if, how would I put it? I feel as if they've been
making strides towards improving. Exactly, and I think that is a narrative which has been strewn around this set of 4+ players, I guess you could say, when you're now considering how Daki has come in the last couple weeks, months or so. It's that this was a team which many of you may recognise more familiarly under TGH. They were competing in Beacon the last time around, and they were tipped very close to making it towards that Div 1 playoff spot. In fact, only sitting a couple shy outside of it. One of the main reasons, I think, was they didn't compete in the TGH tournament. It was regarded a conflict of interest. I think that's completely fair enough because they're playing under the organisation at the time. So there is very much a foundation from which they can kick on, and this is a team also which you expect to be towards Div 1 now, also given the fact that some of those big dogs that Stokesy was speaking about earlier have now left us.
Yeah, the dogs with the larger barks and the bigger bites is probably gone off the board, but that's not to say that these teams don't have bites, because let's be honest, we've seen some of them bite. Some of them bite hard. Some
of those dogs have been getting like the premium T1 pamper treatment, being flown out to different regions and whatnot. I have absolutely no idea. But let's turn up the velocity a little bit ourselves here as we now head into the pistol round.
One thing I'll be looking forward to in this general play between these two teams is the duelist. We're going to be seeing Zeko up against Marky. It's a really big engagement between the two rosters. Yeah,
Marky has looked a little bit shaky in some of the bigger moments, I think it's fair to say, so far in this tournament, but the same can be said for Zeko, not really performing up to the standards that he had set for himself in that last game against Insight. But here we have it, the first one to lead the line in towards this execute, and he'll be immediately up against Marky on the opposite end of that toxic screen, sitting in the nest of the site, just waiting for a commitment to be made. But right now, this is a fairly slow execute.
Right now, on top of your screens, you might be a little bit mistaken. Next in line is on the attack at this moment in time, but they're really taking their time, Hazza, in terms of how they go for the execution. Just making sure that they can at least bait out some utility, and they do that. A lovely spam coming through, but they can't capitalise. Marky does.
He sees a nice gap over the top and pinches for it, finds yet another kill, the young Scotsman, and here we have it. A 4 versus 3 player advantage for Control Esports with a spike yet to be planted. Gaps in the barrier orb, and well, they will be plugged shut MJT has a wall of his own to slow things down, and that's not something they can afford right now. Time is ticking away.
Oh, Stemps went really deep with this plant, and it needs to be protected. No swings, no utility that can come through, and they do get it confirmed. But now the post begins. It's an advantage for Control in this situation. How do they make it work?
Already used the recon to clear up close. Now you've just got to look for those deeper angles, and it's Stemp posted in the corner. A singular segment of wall separates him, looking to try and find the engagement, but Marquis will take it instead. Pistol round for Control Esports. They get off on the right foot.
Yeah, they really do. Marquis getting 3 kills plus a defusal. That is 4 of those beautiful ultimate orbs going right into his pocket. 3 away now from, I mean, the Blade Storm. That's, for instance, 1 death and 1 ultimate orb, and he's only 1 away. Big stuff.
You're building up to it pretty quickly, right? It's a good ult to get online fairly fast. He has the joint lowest amount of ultimate orbs required with Zeko, his counterpart on the Jet, in the form of 7. We've seen a lot of changes with how many ult points different ults cost, and Jet unaffected at the time being, and I don't really expect that to change. The big one for Marquis there, though, is the fact that he was on the site the entirety of that execute. It's just about picking those timings with engagements, knowing when to fight, when not to. Zeko on the opposite end just gets caught in no man's land there, but they're going at it again. Next in line, trying their luck once more towards the B side of the map.
It's interesting, Control have really stacked towards the A side of the map. And they've cleared out mid as well, so there's no contact there. But surely they know that, I mean, next in line should be on the B side from what they've got. There's been no contact, and they're moving really,
I
really
like
deep.
this. They're just waiting to burst through. The utilities there in support, and Snowman Control is lingering, but we do have JKG in position to take them out, and now Daki's finally turned up from inside the site itself. The crossfire slices them in half, and there we have it. Control Esports make it flawless at the expense of a spike plant, and we have to take a step back for a moment. This wasn't, you know, an investment whatsoever from Next in Line, and I like the idea for them to change up the pace just a little bit, play behind their own wall, and then look to take control of something else.
But I feel as well, on top of that, Control gave them so much space on that B site.
Yeah, and you know what? I respect that as well, because what the counter to that is if you're getting sucked in to taking that fight against 4 players, you're going to get dropped. But sitting back just that little bit more, playing off of one another, JKG and Daki combining, brilliant stuff. And yeah, just pointing at the scoreboard here, only 2 kills picked up for Next in Line so far. They're going to have to find a few more if they want to pluck away around, and this would be the one to do so. They now have the credits to make it look a bit more tenable. Marquis has bought up into an operator, posted on the angle, but can't quite claim the shot.
See, this is what I was worried about. Was Marquis picking up this op? It's a big investment. At this time, though, Next in Line playing this extremely slow because they know it's the bonus. They know that Control can essentially throw away bodies at this scenario, but they're not going to want to, especially with Marquis buying up that op.
This doesn't even really feel like a bonus when you look at the investment of the operator as well. At the very least, you want to keep it. Rudy gets nothing. Marquis snatches it away, a quick swipe shot across the mouse pad, and straight out of the server. The IGL takes a back seat, and Next in Line need to try and find something here to put themselves on the front foot.
Marquis just waiting to see if there's an updraft, but there is one player in tube. It's Zeko, and they've just crouched away. But look at that space on A. There is the KG utility as they slowly move through and clear out. The alarm bot triggered. The jig is up.
The information is there, and Daki still has control of backside from which to work with. The snakebite will press him back a little bit, but managed to find a timing round it. The headshot just not enough to topple Stemp, and that will be the spike plant in a 4 versus 4 Next in Line. They have all the right pieces to make this dangerous. Jaco will in fact take a kill. Both of the shock darts expended at pressing back those players through screens, so we'll just have to see.
This is going to be so much tougher with an op as well. Marquis really going to have to hit the mark, especially against 4 rifles. 2 Spectres aren't going to be able to do much. As Sid bakes through, misses the mark. Zeko at least gets 1, but look at this. This is workable. 2 versus 2. How is the post plan?
Yeah, and that utility I spoke about has begun to dry up, but Pika's finding the kills. JKG has no idea that they're doubled up from this position. Goes for the first tap, but not even sticking towards half. Not even half a chance that they find it. Next in Line are able to win the round that is most important, and with that operator invested, not turning the result that is required, it's not the healthiest. You do have the blades, however, now coming through for Marky. As you mentioned, he was already well on his way after the first round to getting them online.
Yeah, maybe the fact that Marky had already built up that ultimates in the back pocket, that's why they gambled on the op buy.
Yeah.
It's worked out, and Next in Line didn't have a chance to pick it up. On top of that, as we look at this, there's a couple of light shields, a couple of things to kind of work on. In terms of how Control have set up, it's a bit interesting. Marky already taking early space towards A.
At least having a look at it, right? Respecting that Next in Line could be waiting further back, and you don't really want to drop that player early on. Your Jet player on the Bladestorm into the retake can be such a more pacey way of exploding in towards it, especially when you look at the initiation they have behind.
This is lovely control in towards mid as well. If that Sage barrier orb gets broken, well, the defenders will know about it. So the passive information that's happening right now is pretty good, and they know that there's contact there.
The audio cue, it gives away at least 2 or 3 players, right? It's a cluster of shots, and Marky wants to get in on the action, spots out Peak, lands just the one knife, and then falls back. Thinks better of it, and, well, I can't blame him. Jaco is now posted up in the corner, and that could be something which activates into the late round.
Yeah, one to keep your eye on. In terms of how this is moving across the board, as we head into the late stages, 35 seconds left, we're looking at getting this spike down. We're looking at the execution. What is the stopping power of Control?
They have a really good read on this. Marky has moved one over to help out. Zeko has dropped, still alive here with the blades, looking to cut them apart, but it's Sid instead that'll get it done. Jaco finally arrives through mid, but it's all too late. 3-1 for Control, and 3 for Sid.
3 for Sid indeed, Hazard. That is great work from Control. The fact that Marky got pinged out, Sid realised, I can go and hide, because Marky used the Jet smokes to hide from the info scan.
Yep.
Lovely setup, lovely crossfires.
I mean, I said there as well that Jaco was late to the party. That was perhaps more of a flair on the end of the play-by-play than anything else, because I think he played that timing really nicely and could have definitely brought a lot more value. The only issue is it was forced to become involved because the rest of the Next in Line team had gone thundering in and not really found too much in the site itself.
So now for Next in Line on this round, it's an equal round. I'm looking for them to test the boundaries, see what they can find, what sort of information in terms of the setup.
I'm wondering if we might see a repeat of the setup they had last time around on B, where they looked to take towards Snowman instead. This time, Daki is posted up on the other side of the screen, catches a little bit of damage, but should be able to get away from it unscathed. Marky also looking for this fight on yellow. I think right now, Control, with the util they have, the gap in that department and the weaponry, there's no reason to go for these jewels, but look, Marky does not care.
Marky doesn't care, no respect shown, as they do the exact same thing that you were hoping for. They're going deep again, Hazard.
Look at this from Daki, just chilling in the corner right now, looking to swing round the back, and he will do it. The shot's a little bit wide, but enough to get it done. Marky with 3 of his own, and that is a gap now of 3 rounds. Control Esports making the strides necessary to carry on through in this game.
It was a little bit stinky from Daki. I think he'll say that. But the point that...
Oh, cheesy beeps, man.
Oh, cheesy beeps, man. But looking at this round, we're actually seeing an attack inside op. Zeko not quite having the impact that we've seen them have before. So I'm wondering what the difference is. I mean, the fact that posting this Jet up on A might be that difference.
Yeah, I'd like to see Next in Line just sort of take that control and then drop back. So, something like towards B, for example. Nice shot from Zeko. Takes out JKG early on and puts that one to bed.
Is this the first time we've actually seen Next in Line take the first blood? I think it has. And it's going to be massive. Taking out JKG, taking out the Sova, not much in terms of actually finding out information without giving up a player, and that's even bigger.
Yeah. More information taken now into the hands of Next in Line at the very least. We saw that early play towards B with the barrier orb. Nicely done. Sage wall up. Marky now feeling as if it's his duty to pull this one back in. Rein in Control's chances of finding something, but there's so many different angles with players layered up behind them like some kind of sick and twisted man onion. And now it's a difficult retake in a 2 versus 5.
You could say that. Zeko, come on. You just after hitting an incredible shot, finally finishes it out with a flawless, a nice response. But let's talk about the difference of next in line. Usually we were talking about on Fracture about how they like to play aggressive. Hazard, that was anything but aggressive.
Yeah, it certainly was. I think it was more next in line, just sitting and waiting, understanding, okay, Control Esports, they're starting to feel themselves now. They're going to be looking to take early control in different areas of the map. We saw MJT get punished, we saw JKG get punished, and it was punishment after punishment which allowed them to set the round in line and pick it up. So I'm wondering if we'll get a bit more discipline out of Control into this next one. I certainly expect so. They know the operator's in play, but they do have a trump card of their own.
Well, Control will want to keep this quiet. Marky, anything but quiet, let's be honest. This player insane when it comes to the mechanical front. An attacker Killjoy planted on A, but the Jet not wanting to move because the spike close there. Yeah,
the spike is on B. And Marky is holding the correct angle to be dealing with this as well. As soon as he finds that kill, the information would be big. Sid just looking to drop a quick closer before he hits the deck, and Marky does find the all-imperative shot. Seems as if next in line may actually just be twisting off the back of this A control that they had, but even then, so much yet to be re-cleared. MJT looking to get involved, spots out Pika with the recon, and Rudy not quite on an angle which will allow him to find this kill just as the decay does come through from the wall. MJT decays Zeko all the way down to 0, finding yet another one. JKG in support, but they peel back.
Spelt Viper's pit down. Spike not quite down at this moment in time, but as soon as they tap that spike, you've got to remember the Hunter's Fury will come through, and it does. Already getting a kill on towards Pika. That's massive. We really need to see Jaiko come up huge, come up trumps in this Viper's pit.
Needs to get twisting and turning in the dark, but JKG was the one that turned the lights off. Had the Hunter's Fury to add a little bit of something, and there we have it. Daki cleans up onto Jaiko, and that will be the round. Really, really weird one to try and pick apart that Cairo, because you had that presence of the spike towards B. It gets shut down. They say, okay, this is not something worth fighting. We don't want to play into the op. Let's go towards A. The A control off the back of the lockdown, not as good as it maybe could have been, because Sid didn't even break it. Sid was playing a Scorched Earth policy, trying to do as much damage as he could before he fell, and it's an immediate re-clear from Control Esports, understanding that it was a fake or an attempted fake, that makes things fall apart. Next in line, perhaps just trying to complicate things a little too much.
Yeah, I think it was one of those situations where it was a house of cards. They had lots of ideas thrown into the pot, but it didn't really cook much of a meal. I'll tell you what though, Rudy, allowing MJT to eat nice.
That he is. Hasn't cleaned off the plate just yet. There's 4 more morsels there. Marky just looking to buy a shot, but this time won't get it. Jaiko straight through with a shorty. Violates JKG and then adds a little bit extra onto Sid as well. That's an advantage back, and with the extra control that the kill has found them, we've got a res coming into play as well. 4 versus 2. These players split up from one another, but just looking to crunch down on this mid-injection coming through as Jaiko crunches all the way to the back line. Marky will deny him. Understands where Zeko is playing from, but still such a difficult scenario. Find this one, maybe it's worth a Blade Storm, but even then, time is not on your side.
This has to be a Marky moment. This has to be Marky being that guy and winning out the round with 57 HP and an op. You can't help but feel it might be a little bit too much to ask.
Does he fancy it? I don't think so. Just going to turn away, or at least see if he can take anyone down with him as he makes a scurry for the big green light. The exit light in towards Kitchen to just post up, and yeah, like you said, one player cleaned off the plate, but the rest of them pulled together to make something which leaves Marky, the one in the kitchen, wondering why everything went to a mess.
I don't know if I said all of that, Hazard. But
well, you didn't, but it was hinted that something would be consumed, and perhaps it wouldn't be that mid-hold, because it must be said, Jaiko, very, very nice. And look, coming with a shorty as well, the confidence to just play up close.
It's not that, though. I understand that GKG was using the drone to just check how many bodies were in mid.
Yeah.
But why was no one there to support him? It's so common that we see that Viper Orb on that exact same position to cover the underneath.
This isn't the first time Jaiko has moved down mid as well. I guess there are many different factors that we could lead into some kind of a confirmation bias perhaps as to how this has been played, but the only real takeaway is that next in line are not done yet. 5-3, the game incredibly close. And look, if they get 3 more, then we might actually have a game on our hands.
Oh, MGT's walked too far. Zeko's punished, and already that's an advantage. There's no raise available for the rest of this round. Specifically, there is plenty more ultimates though.
The silver lining is Daki is still alive, has the turret up in towards Kitchen, and it will be controlling a little bit of mid as well towards Snowpile, so somewhat of the pressure has been taken off. This time Marky will be doubling up alongside JKG. It's just Sid on the site. He's got 5 players soon to head towards the crosshairs. Turns away just as the Rafter Peak comes through from Rudy. Aldrone now following it up, so there should at least be some information, and the support will follow him there.
Now, at this situation, we are just waiting. See when the execute comes through. Remember, Daki's going to be a bit later here. We do have ultimates, Hazza.
Yeah.
And do you know what? The biggest one, there is a counter to the lockdown. Do you know what's even better? Countering the players on the site, just cutting them down. It's like a hot knife through butter, and every single player is being cut down. There is a spike being planted, and Daki in a 1 versus 5.
Yeah, the ult becomes an irrelevancy at this point because next in line just slow pushed the site, slow cooked it. You know how Control Esports like to play. A couple of times we've seen them either deny the plant or just go for that fast retake. Control a little bit of the site and work from it. Daki, flicks to the head of Semp. Big kill to be found, but still so much more yet to do. These players aren't going to give anything up either. They don't have to. Jaco finds it, and there you have it. Going back on what I was saying, however, Control like to play fast, so next in line are just playing things a little bit slower, waiting for them to get a little bit too overcompensating and overcomfortable, I guess. And now we're seeing a timeout.
Interestingly enough, Hazza as well, coming from that background, we actually saw next in line have an ace up the sleeves. Yes, they were all set up to kind of play a little bit further back, but we also saw Rudy re-clear up through mid and go for a flank. Just to have that little ace up the sleeve. If things get a little bit too spicy, a little bit too dicey, they'll have enough to do. But I think your point of they're playing slow and passive, and Control are playing into the way that next line are playing at this moment in time. It's realistically, I think this is the best time to use this timeout because it seems if next in line have Control completely sussed out, Control need to change up what they're doing.
They have a few ultimates to burn here as well, Control, because they are leading the way in the terms of the ultimate game. I guess that could be a fairly surface level deduction to make purely based on the fact that they have the lead. But when you actually look at the ultimate usage we've seen over the past few rounds, Control Esports have had the better of it. The only one that's missing is JKG, and that Hunter's Fury turned a kill in a retake that could have been fairly nasty with the Viper's Pit down. Thinking as well, the Viper's Pit, it didn't find any value. The lockdown that they tried to clear the site with also didn't really turn the result that was expected. Control Esports, if they can make the most of the pieces that they currently have, there's every chance that this can look a little better for them.
That's a big ping.
Big ping.
Zeko completely punishes the aggression, but let's be honest, in this eco, Control have to do something, Hazza.
Yeah. They want to try and set the tempo just a little bit. So the aggressive peak, somewhat expected, I suppose. MJT setting off the wall and then Sid looking to play through it. Well, not Sid, should I say. It was JKG, but it doesn't really matter. The players are here and starting to drop. Marky was still on his feet, and that's one you've always got to watch out for with the Blade Storm. But yeah, quickly set out of the equation. Now it is just Sid remaining. 1 kill with the Sheriff's upgraded to a Vandal, and because that spike is heading elsewhere, could craft a round, but even then, you are wishing on a star.
Well, we need the stars to come out for Control now as things have really slipped out of the grasp of them. It's a big round. This is a situation which we are very much used to. It is a do or die. If they let this one go on the eco in the next round, we're realistically looking at next in line making it a 7-5 half.
We have to credit next in line here as well for turning it around from a 4-1 deficit. Looking at that previous game they had against Insight, with them being the top seed, of course, there is that extra bit of pressure and that more elevated style of gameplay, I guess, that you have to contend with and whatnot. But for them to be able to turn this on this head for the time being, I think is commendable. But we'll have to see which one of these teams takes the initiative and will actually bring themselves an advantage into the second half. Marky, at least putting his name in the hat for that to be the question. He's going to find the opener.
There is lots of ultimates available. Lockdown, res, etc. We still have the lockout in towards mid, but I'll tell you what, Rudy, finding that pick onto Marky, are they starting to move elsewhere? It certainly seemed likely. Zeko's back up on their feet though, that res used from next in line.
With the res coming through, Control know that there's more players here as well than what they've already seen. And in fact, it has brought Daki over as well from his usual position to the other side of mid ever so slightly, but this time it will be on the A side. Can't help MJT, however. It's the Nano Swarm on the opposite end, which will send him to an unpleasant fate. Here is Daki himself trying to catch a timing round through maze and gets two. Not quite able to spot the head of Zeko. Could nearly buy a timing. Out come the blades, and there's the window of opportunity, but it's one which is squandered. There is a huge play coming through from Jaco in spawn, and that will give the Spike an opportunity to move around. The time is low. I think there's just enough to get this planted, as Zeko will send a knife to carve out the brains of Sid.
Right, well, the Spike will go down, and two of the players left on the side of Control have to make a massive play. They really have to find what they need to. There is an info dart there for the retake.
Yeah.
But most of the setup is already crossfired by next in line. They are looking pretty good, but that's a lovely first shot. The info dart out now as Daki swings, he gets taken down. Pika gets a huge double. Next in line get a massive round.
That is such a huge round to be picking up with how it started out. A cheeky peek onto Marky there. MJT also getting found, but Daki makes you believe for just a moment before things ended up going the opposite way. Jaco with the jump strafe. I would perhaps like to have seen someone else take the contact there because he is your win condition with those snake bites and poison orb up, but yeah, sees it over the line, keeps the op up on the attacking side, and you know, Zeko, for someone who perhaps hadn't performed to the best of standards in the previous game, is looking like a completely rebuilt character on this operator.
Well, has it. This is the big round. Next in line looking to now take the advantage already. There has been a little bit of aggression. Heads seen, those shots missed, and ultimates invested. The lockdown now invested into this one, and it is going to have to be the site completely evacuated.
I was saying before how Control Esports were leading the way in terms of ults and the value that they had derived, but that's not the case anymore. Next in line have made a good use of the hand that they've been dealt, and will now look to head towards the site. What a shot from Marky. Orb up towards the top so that they can get a really nice post plant here. We'll have to see how that turns out.
Well, already clear. Oh no! Oh no!
What?
Marky's find on is Zempt. That's massive. A 5 versus 3 situation with a res also in the back pocket. Not much utility's been used by Control either.
Oh, this angle from Rudy. Barely a few set of pixels that he could look to sit on. It's a 5v1. The time and the opportunity has already left the building. Nickname it Elvis, it's gone.
Well, Hazza, do you know something? This is now officially a record-breaking stream for EPIC38.
I was just about to say. This is the first time we've casted a best of one today where the team that has lost, I mean, neither of these teams have lost just yet, have got at least 6 rounds. So there we go, we did it. Yeah, high five, mate. I don't know if that's going to pick up. There we go.
I hope it did.
I think it probably did, but there we have it.
We got a sort of.
An even half. The exact same composition picked up for both teams. Now it comes down to the nitty-gritty, the strategy game.
Yeah.
How are we going to see Control Esports approach this attack? What different ideas can they bring forward? What is it that next in line are going to try to change up about how they want to approach this? You're already seeing that alarm bot put a lot deeper towards B as we've seen Rudy play it. The nanos will be for the default plant instead. And just sitting back, inviting pressure towards B, a heavier stack on A, and it seems as if that's the area of the map which Control will first look to test.
No, it seems as Control, again, playing this a bit slower because, again, it's going to be a switch of sides, a switch of ideas, different. Sometimes you can play aggressive on the attack, but or aggressive on the defense, but a little bit reluctant on the attack, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Control really feeling out their opponents at the moment.
It's understandable. There's absolutely no prerequisite as to how next in line are going to look to try and play this. Out comes the drone from JKG towards A. This could give a bit of an idea as to where they might be heading, but Control haven't done anything off the back of it yet, and Rudy's peeked into a few players, able to send a headshot. It's one which Zeko will capitalise from and find Sid.
Well, Sid being gone is going to be a massive loss in terms of that Viper's wall still to go up.
You have to clear him. He's going to clear them out instead. 2 kills into Beacon. Not the knife! Slices them down the middle to clean it up flawless. Razor sharp from Rudy. And I just cannot believe what I've seen. Sinks the pickaxe into the skull of JKG. And that will be a timeout from next in line.
That is an interesting timeout. At what point would you take a timeout there? Were they maybe getting a bit too excited? Is it a mental thing?
Have you just seen what Rudy's playing chat? Yeah. Let me in, I won't go LFT.
Did you not see Marky's message before that?
I did not.
He said,
is it something broadcast friendly or not?
Yeah, it's something broadcast friendly. He just said, I'm not retweeting your LFT posts anymore.
Okay. That's brilliant. I mean, for those who don't know, Rudy has struggled in recent times to land himself on a roster. K10, E-Masters was a flash in the pan, barely even a moment before they picked up a different roster. But it's good that he's found his feet here. The timeout, perhaps a little bit questionable. This is one of those ones I think that can sometimes come back to bite you, but we know how quick on the trigger next in line have been in introducing that break, that moment to just say, okay guys, we need to refine what it is that's going on, even when they pick up a round. We saw that against Jokers.
I think at the same time though, it's obviously something that the coach has seen, that he identified straight away, right guys, this is what's happening, this is maybe what's wrong, or maybe this is what we did right and what to reinforce, because maybe they've seen something in terms of how Control like to play, but after one round, I mean, it's still a big question mark.
We see Rudy go for the same setup most rounds as well. I mean, I was watching the game against Looney just from behind his perspective. Not once, I don't think we really saw the Killjoy play towards A, and this is something which Control Esports will want to understand if they're to have a better chance at picking something up here. That's the classics ring off, the harmony, the choir begin to sing. There we have next in line picking up what's being put down as they've rotated 4 of the 5 players, leaving just Rudy on the opposite end.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, when you hear that many classics ring off, as you were saying, Hazza, there is no point to, I guess, spare any thought about what is going on.
But look how much control Rudy just delivers from this one position. Unlike Daki, he's not playing the alarm bot towards mid. His attention is focused instead by his own crosshair towards mid. The alarm bot has that early contact pre-yellow to make sure that B can't be compromised even a little bit, right? So your late round is in safe hands. In terms of what Control want to do in this late round, I mean, their options are stumped. They're stuck here outside of A and will just have to throw their lives on the line to get anything done.
Yeah, it's eco frags at this moment in time.
Not
bad. MGT at least takes out Zeko, so the Vandal is down. Oh, there it is. The Control, the finishing touch, the cherry on top of the cake.
Yeah, there we have Stemp shutting it down, and yeah, a nice little double in from the back. But Control Esports, in terms of what offerings they brought to that round, not really very much going. This is the kick out, or at least it has to be, if you value their chances at progressing in the tournament. Because even when you consider what the group ends up looking like after this, you have to be thinking, where are their heads at in terms of confidence? You've got a game against Insight up next. If you're not winning your match here, you could probably wave that one goodbye.
Massive, massive game at this moment in time. Control yet to find the first round on the attacking half. But I think that could change very easily as they start to move up towards A, and it's been A presence every single time at the start of the round. That's been the conditioning so far, and next in line have already seen everybody that they need to see. They know exactly where this plant is coming in, and it's coming in now.
The only worry is there's no presence anywhere else, but why should it matter? When A is your destination. Spike down, Control Esports with everything that they need. Crossfire's now set up, utility in place. Next in line can only try and pull as much away from them as possible into this retake.
Need to find something. Need to find a foothold in towards this site. MGT just hidden under rafters, supported by Marky. There is crossfires all over this place. An info dart to help out just by the wall. Marky will take out Pika. At least Jaiko gets one with the Vandal. Maybe they might choose to save that and just bolster the economy a little bit more. It's all exits. The spike looking to blow, and Control will have their first of this half.
We saw how good of a situation it was for insight against Next in Line previous when they were playing exits. Rudy just wants to run it down. I don't think he really wants this Guardian, but that's what you get, mate. It's like on Christmas Day and there's a bag of coal under the tree, but I think a Guardian's perhaps a little bit better than a bag of coal. It's probably, what, about halfway between a bag of coal, a classic, and a Vandal.
I mean, in this energy crisis, a bag of coal wouldn't go that bad.
True. Look, let's not go there, mate. Let's not go there.
Well, anyway, this round coming up. This is the test. It's the same thing as we always say. It's the test of two characters. But the interesting thing with those two staying alive, Hazza, you don't actually get the full bonus of economy that you would normally get if all 5 had passed.
Yeah, things a little bit more tricky, but Control happy with that result. They're just looking to keep on hitting towards A. No reason to change it up whatsoever. Lovely. And Marky will find the opener. Looks to dash towards Jen instead. Catches a lot of damage. 2 points of health, wants MJT to help him out probably, but falls before the opportunity can even be taken up. Whoa! And here is Daggy on the drop. Nearly finds both, but instead it's a combination of Control together to get the result. Turn to the end, which they'll be looking for. Nice spike plant towards the top site. Really means that they can sit back on these deeper angles, and when you look at the utility, you got 2 of the 3 players that you want. Your Sova and your Viper play with those snake bites and shock darts to just keep this one ticking over.
I think as well with the Sage, with the slow orbs that could add into this, it makes things even more tricky. There's the first one out as Rudy tries to clear through. The info dart comes through. Oh no, but the Peak gets punished. MGT at least gets the trade. They're pinging out on towards Pika. It's the Sova to do it all. 1 versus 1. JKG needs to hit these shock darts. At least gets 1, but it misses. He can just hold 4. JKG's not going to hit this. Oh my God!
How on earth does Pika get it? That was a 2 versus 3 situation. 1 which was cut down to the wire, then a 2 versus 1, and he sticks it.
You just missed it. Rudy just put a question mark in chat.
I saw it. I did see it. But sometimes these things are better left unsaid because well, we've already seen that early timeout. And oh, that one really stings if you're rooting for Control in this one because it was left unaccounted. JKG just has to go for the peak. You have to have half of the spike in that situation, and it just does not follow up.
I don't know if JKG has just kind of, I guess, assumed that they're going to be running out. They didn't have enough time. I mean, it literally was milliseconds.
Yeah. When do we see Control Esports, put a foot in this, just slow things down for just a moment? I don't think we do. It's another A execute, rinse and repeat. The other one going down to a technicality perhaps as Marky seems to be that one constant in every single round, finding the openers. Wow. And MJT won't make a mess of it this time around, will get traded out. Pika able to find 1, but out of the equation. Don't have to worry about any more sneaky diffusers, at least you don't not.
Marky just jumping about that site as if it's like The Office US, hardcore parkour, that's exactly what we're seeing. As for next in line, well, maybe their head's next in line for the shopping block. Time ticking away. We've seen this before though, Hazza.
I have you more down as a bit of a David Brent, I think.
No, definitely not.
Than a Michael Scott. But anyway, here we go. Rudy running out and getting taken down with him. JQ into the snake bite, and that's an unsavory one. It definitely is. It's like the bog of everlasting stench, if you've ever seen Labyrinth.
Labyrinth?
Yeah, Labyrinth. I thought I'd toss out a reference. You send them my way constantly. I'm having to deflect them back one by one.
Yeah, but
David. Oh, is it Bowie? Is it Bowie? I don't know. I'm gonna get it wrong. Which one is it?
David Bowie.
Bowie. David Bowie. There we go.
Oh, we've had a couple of. We're gonna have a quick P10. Hazza. We've had a couple of disconnects because of Pika and Zeko, but this is probably the perfect time to stop and recount exactly what's happened. It was a 6-6 half. We've had 5 rounds, and a lot of things have happened so far.
Mate, I'm going to take a sit down. Look, okay. we've got a P10. I'm pulling out the seat, reclining just a little bit, and yeah, sort of. What would be the word? Re-clearing my thoughts over what it is exactly that we've seen. So, looking at the previous rounds, right, we had Control. I'm
giving you a head a little massage.
I'm getting a head massage here, guys. You can't see it on stream, of course, but yeah, we are. We're getting thrown around by the observer right now. But But yeah, in terms of what we've seen from Control, it's been rinse and repeat. Ace obviously working for them, but how do Next in Line respond? I said earlier in towards the game here, from the defender's side, we've been seeing Next in Line play somewhat exclusively Rudy on the B side of the map. It's given them a lot of control, however, it has also left that side of the map a little more compromised. And when you don't have your lockdown online, it can be a lot more difficult to make that retake happen.
It's like, it's almost like a sword, a double-edged sword, sorry, when we look at this, because Rudy, for instance, I mean, gives you so much control on the B side, but leaves you a little bit, I guess, waiting for that lockdown to come through. You really need to delay, and time will get really low. With the way that things are going, we're just waiting to see what the admin's call is on the situation.
Hopefully we can get back in play shortly. I don't know if Tex can put us on cam for a moment or something. We'll go on cam for a moment.
Oh, hello.
I think we have a little bit of time to work with, right? I don't believe that we're getting straight back into this one. Hello. Hello, viewers at home. Hopefully the frame drop issues will be resolved, but we've almost got some halftime entertainment, I suppose.
Does that mean we get karaoke?
No, I don't think we can do karaoke on here. You'll get the stream shut down for copyright.
Yeah, DMCA. You know, we were talking about.
Do you think we'll hit the notes though?
Oh, come on!
It's the backing track really that'll bail us out.
Listen. Let's be honest, right? When we think back to the iconic Has a GC 24-hour stream, we have to talk about the karaoke that happened and the fact that we did get offered contracts with Simon Kill.
Yeah. We didn't get a DMCA, we got an RMCA, I think, is it?
A YMCA?
No, who's the record group? It's a record RCA, that's the one, RCA, that's the one.
I have
it's a record agency. You wouldn't know. The big dogs are talking, right? And
okay.
in terms of what we've had here from Control and Next in Line,
yes,
it's difficult to pull much more apart. I think our hands are somewhat tied. Do you want to loosen them up a bit with a game of rock paper scissors?
Oh, okay.
Are you on a shoot kind of guy, or like rock paper scissors shoot?
I am just a 3-2-1.
Okay.
Rock paper. What are you? Where's the rhythm? Rhythm.
How many are you doing?
You never said rock, paper, scissors. Right, ready. Right, this is it. Rock, paper, scissors, go. Right, we'll do that, okay? Right. Rock, paper, scissors, go. Oh.
Best of three. Okay. Oh, we're best of one. Sorry, it's groups. Maybe if we have a tech pause for the BO3, then we will. But,
okay. Well, I think Hazza is probably a good time at this moment in time because we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Maybe to just throw to a quick break potentially. You know, just.
How do you feel about that one? Do you actually want to throw to a break?
Just ever so slightly. Slightly.
We've been given the liberty. How often do we get to do this?
Well, I mean, we've just got the thumbs up though, Hazza. I'm chucking you off the broadcast. Right, we're going to a quick 5-minute break. We'll see you later. Bye-bye. 5 minutes.
Either it's right or wrong, but I've already pictured it, and I wanna do more than talk. Nothing like a crazy risk to give me what I really want. Get into the space I'm in. I wanna do more than talk. I really wanna play it cool, so take this to another level. More than talk. Go ahead and make yourself comfortable. I'll show you things you never knew you wanted now. As long as you take this to another level. Take this to another level.
Hello everybody, welcome back in. It's Control versus next in line, and well, it's 9-8. Control moving in towards an eco at the moment in time, and just after a quick tech pause, the teams are being able to recollect their thoughts.
And you know what? I love this from Control Esports. It's cheeky, admittedly, but I think it's the right decision. They've looked to now go and mix things up, move completely away from the expectation that had been set up, the preconditioning on the previous few rounds to just keep on going straight towards A. They shift it B, get the spike down, and it's a 5 versus 5.
Straight away, and remember, next in line are on the eco. Blade Storm used up, and that's what their opportunity is. That's what the real knife, the dagger that they're going to try and strike into the hearts of Control. But Marky's already going to do that. Stabbing in towards the back and stabbing in towards the front.
Marky.
It's a death by 1,000 cuts, or, well, a death by an ace potentially on Marky. Rudy at least gets one back. Time ticking away, and you can't help but feel Rudy on their lonesome as they try to get a knife of their own. It's all over.
All over in a flash. Control Esports mixing things up nicely. Rudy perhaps a little bit put off by the fact that Marky wanted to trade out the knife and find one for himself. But there we have it, 9-9. Really nice adjustment from Control into that round. I said about it just a little bit as we got into things. The fact that they were even looking to clear out B before making any decision there, I think, is fantastic.
Yeah.
But what it's done is it's shaken the balance, shaken the equilibrium that we had before that pause, and used the time really effectively to mix up the strategy a little bit and keep next in line guessing.
Remember, Control have just been so direct, as Route 1 Valorant at the moment has it, and they're just sending things straight down. But, well, Zeko's going to send a bullet straight through the head of Sid.
Yeah, you can't play Route 1 against a 7-foot centre-back, and it seems like that's how Zeko's been playing it. Marky is the Peter Crouch on the opposite end, both of them clashing heads, and doesn't quite have the brain power to align the dots and find the kill there. Instead, it's Stemp that will get the opener for them. JKG trading things back on towards Pika, but Control still trail from this position. There is a lockdown with backside control that could make things even more woeful, and it will. However, the shift has already been made. MJT's found the kill and brought Sid back up on his feet. B awaits, and they look to send it in their sights.
That certainly seems to be the case. Spike not quite committed. Oh my god. That was a really dodgy one. MJT getting a massive kill there.
It was. But it's those ones that you have to turn into your favour, and quite thankfully for Control Esports, they've been able to do so. Huge Hunter's Fury from Pika to swing back. JKG left on the ground, and Sid coming back from the ground, up from the 6 feet below, to be a walking dead man yet again and punish that mid-play. Something which it looks like Pika is overly worried about, as his teammate Stemp has been left to retake the site on his lonesome. Already up towards where the spike is, but the Snakebites will push him further back. Time is dwindling, and I don't think next in line have enough of it.
No, I still don't think they do. Massive, massive info dart. They've invested the barrier rod, but it is just a cut and block. GT coming through with a massive collat. But the thing is, though, Hazza, the bigger part of that is Control now move ahead, while next in line resulted, relegated to an eco.
We also see there as well Control Esports taking 2 aspects of the 2 previous rounds that they had played. The fast A hit and that more default approach where you're still maintaining A presence, but you have the option to go B late. That is what they do, and it turns a fantastic result. Yes, there were a few dodgy fights in the mix there, but they win their ones and now have a lead of 10-9. Double digits, the first to hit that mark.
Interesting that Nixon Line have actually went for more of a bigger B presence, so they can tell if it is going to just be straight A or if there's going to be any presence elsewhere. There's going to be no presence elsewhere. It's another Route 1 play, and Rudy's been found out as well as Stempt.
Marky and Rudy having a battle amongst themselves right now. Usually it's that jet duel which we focus on, but these two really do have a storied history between them, and there we have it. Marky coming out on top this time around. The buckshot not coming to any real value. Was holding on to that top gen angle. That's where Marky's usually gone, but showing that he has the volume and the verticality in more ways than one. I mean, he's not the tallest of blokes. We said earlier that we were talking about Route 1, but yeah, he's no Peter Crouch, I'll tell you that much.
Nah, certainly not. Double swing, nice. Just one player left, flawless. It's the EPIC38 Intel flawless has.
yeah. What we got, the MSI clutch and the overclockers thrifty, discount codes pending. I don't know what you have to use exactly for that, but yeah, thanks of course to all our sponsors and Mr. John Riot as well for putting this on as a beacon.
I love Mr. John Riot. What a guy.
Shout out John Riot. But I think the main takeaway right now in this game and what we've seen so far is that pause. And it really hurts to say this as well, but from that point onwards, we saw a bit of a shift in the balance because Control, yes, they were looking good. They were turning results with these A hits, but it's having an opportunity to pause, let next in line second guess themselves and take the foot off the pedal, which has really been a difference maker.
Another big thing that we have to think about is next in line used their pause early on. Marky again coming through, being the executioner that we need to see, that the Control need. That pointy bit at the end of the spear, they don't realise there's a player below them. Step's able to get one, but here comes a shorty. Mark down to 2 HP, the rest of the players do the work, and the site completely in the hands of Control.
And he just about managed to dip behind that final segment of the barrier orb as well as to not get taken out. Dashes away, he's not looking for a heal because MJT is long gone, but it's another 3 versus 2. We've seen them in the retake find this before, but next in line you're asking a lot. Viper's Pit will be invested, insurance policy to make sure that they can run away with map point.
Well, the thing is though, with insurance policies, sometimes you need to pay. Do they have to pay this time? The time is ticking away, and you can't help but feel once again that next in line might be a little bit too late to this party, especially with Marky holding a shorty. If he bakes through here, does he find Rudy? Not, just misses out. It is just going to be another round in Control. Finally, move on towards matching map point.
They scamper away with the guns and get themselves up to 12. 3 match points now between Next in Line and Control Esports. Control, they started off well, had a 4-1 lead, but Next in Line found a way back in. It's just at that pivotal moment that we see the technical issues come to light, and from that point, it's been difficult for them to turn around. Since that pause has happened, we haven't seen them pick up 1 round in the last 5, the longest streak of rounds that any team has picked up so far in the map.
Yeah. I know I mentioned it briefly in that last round, but a tactical pause being used after round 1 of the second half, I mean, they really need it.
Right?
They really need it right now. Next in line are struggling, and they've already used up their timeout. What do you do? How do you use it? Where does the reset come from?
Marky sat there with Thanos Infinity Glove on. All of that for a drop of blood. You know, that 1 tech pause just for a knife. You've got to be kidding me. Or attack pause, I should say. I mean, it's all just an amalgamation at this point in time. The game dragging on a lot longer than perhaps we would expected. The schedule pushed back, and Next in Line need to find some kind of pushback here if they want any real chance at making this look competitive in the group, because it does now matter for seeding.
Seeding is going to be a massive part of this. It's an interesting Vipers wall that's been kind of shot across mid almost, create a little bit of presence there, and now next in line are wondering how to battle it when realistically the hit is going to come in on A.
I mean, how many times has it come in on A? I'd have to try and find a breakdown of that afterwards, but it has been the majority of the time. Marky up high once again, Mac 10 Marky looking to explode, and it's Rudy that falls yet again. This guy has a death wish whenever Marky's around, and in fact he'll just take out all of them. It seems a little bit of resistance is met for next in line, and it's going to have to, because it's a 2 versus 1, all on the shoulders of Jaco to try and turn this around.
He has time though. He has time to do this, and needs to. It's do or die, 2 snake bites in the pocket.
All on the timing.
No, he's just missed out. Oh my God, the Viper's pick comes through. This is it, this is the moment. While the mollies are already used early, the alarm pop, and Jaiko goes deep. Daki finds it, and Control win out a most important game.
An emphatic victory for them to dust themselves off after a tough loss against Swans, and then that slight resurgence against Looney. But when you look at your real competitors, and will be you know, up against one another in the upper bracket later on, or at least that's what we expect with them being in that upper cut, this is a margin really, or a landmark win for them to be picking up. And well, speaking of margins, so many fine margins littered throughout that game. I could easily have seen it gone the opposite way, but Control, they screw on their heads, they just crank it up that little extra level, and we really saw Marky come to life by the end there. 30 kills with the second place player in the form of Daki, his teammate, on Sentinel, with half, 15, 12 first bloods.
If there's an MVP, it has to be Marky. But I'll tell you something, Hazzy, you're talking about fine margins. Our schedule is on a fine margin. Rook and Winter are up next, and they'll be able to take through everybody of the stakes in the group. That's us done for just now, and we will see you for the playoffs later.
And we must wanna be